Hello my loves and welcome back. And if you're new here, then thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk about bolsters, yoga bolsters. So if you don't know, yoga bolster, there are many different types, different sizes, but the typical size that you'll see in most yoga studios is this. I'll put the measurements of this one that I have on the screen here. And I'll also put a link to this particular bolster that I have because I got it off Amazon years ago. Hopefully they still sell it. And I love this shape because it just is nice and versatile. Some of them are kind of round, which kind of limit their options. They're filled with many different fillers. Some are filled with buckwheat, which tends to be a little more floppy and figure forming, I guess. But these, nice and firm. You want something that gives you some support because mostly you use these for support. They can make some poses a little more challenging, but mostly they're for support and ease in the poses, and specifically for yin or for restorative yoga. So what I thought we'd do for today is just look at a few ways in which we can use a bolster in our yoga practice. So there's quite a few poses where you can lie back on the bolster, and that's one of the great ways to use this is in a back bend. So nestling up towards the sacrum here, lying back and taking a fish pose here. You can also draw the knees up, have the knees bent, open the legs. You can have blocks underneath the legs. You can turn it the other way, long ways, to get more thoracic extension. And have the head resting off of the back, opening the heart and the throat chakra here. Again, leg position. You can also use this for a side lying support. I've used this before in some of my practices, coming over the bolster this way. It's especially great if you're dealing with trauma on one side. For other positions, you could use it underneath your pelvis in the hip bridge. You could also lift the legs up. You can shift the pelvis a little further down towards the tailbone here and use it for happy baby. That'll help give you a little more spinal flexion in happy baby. If you want to challenge yourself in your hip bridge, you can use the bolster for support so that you can lift the hips up here. And of course, you can always just do one leg. One great way to use the bolster is if you have lower back issues and it hurts to come onto your belly to lie down. Just having the feet lifted can alleviate some of that pain. Other ways to support face down are to put it underneath your abdomen here. It can also be a great way to practice Chaturanga Dandasana, coming forward, some upward facing dog, giving you the opportunity for support while pushing up from plank. It can be a nice restorative variation of child's pose. You can sit sideways on, rotate and take a restorative twist. You can also do that variation with a couple of blocks. Same twist. This support also gives us options for other poses. Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined hero's pose. And of course, those poses are also available without the blocks. It can provide support in a supine twist here. The leg could be extended. It can also provide support here for external rotation at the hip, if your leg doesn't quite reach the floor. You could use a bolster underneath the back knee in a kneeling lunge for a little support. It can actually make the pose a little more challenging here when you come forward into poses like lizard, especially if you're bringing the forearms down to the floor. It's also a great way to come into a supported pigeon pose, supporting your pelvis on the bolster. Much more comfortable in frog pose. Maybe you have a wide leg forward fold and you rest your head on the bolster here. Having the bolster at an angle away from your body, you create a little V position with the bolster and your torso. You can also do this the opposite way, placing the bolster here and resting on your bolster if you can get a little bit further down. In poses like Janu Shirshasana, if your leg does not connect to the floor, it can perform similar tasks to a block and just fill that space so that you have support before you fold forward. If the leg connects, but you don't fold as much forward as you'd like, maybe you take the bolster here and rest on your bolster. Another variation of Janu Shirshasana I like to do is this one. Really helps support the legs in your forward folds. Another forward fold variation, which leads us into Shavasana, and maybe that is legs up and onto your bolster. You could use it for Supta Baddha Konasana here, rather than using a block underneath each leg. You can lift the legs up and fully support the feet. And one other variation that you see people commonly do is this, and letting the knees be supported. If you're doing this, what I recommend is that you change the bolster this way, so that the back of the leg, back of the knees are supported. Now you can do this and have your weight support, but what I suggest is that you take a block and kind of plug that space and prevent it coming, and then you can find a much more comfortable position here for Shavasana, letting your legs be fully supported. All right, my friends, I hope that helped give you some ideas of how you can use a yoga bolster in your practice. I absolutely love mine, and I highly recommend that if you are getting towards a regular practice, a home practice, they're definitely worth getting. I will leave a link in the description to the one that I have here, or a similar one if I can't find this exact one. If you enjoyed this, then give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. And remember, my loves, that karma is only a bitch if you are. So be nice, be kind, and be the change that you want to see in the world. But I love this shape, and I love this shape because so what I thought we do the other camera. So what I thought we